Hey, welcome back. Today's episode is about lessons that I learned from kids. I learned a lot of lessons from kids because I worked with them, I lived with them, kids from other families, kids from my work at that time, kids from all over the planet. I find it was the same wherever I went: Canada, Australia, Asia, or back home in Germany, or Poland, Russia, Holland, wherever I went, kids are the same. Kids have a few attributes that we as grown-ups should really get back into, because those are so essential and so valuable that we should not miss out on these. So here are the attributes that kids have, and here are the lessons that I learned from kids. Now, the first lesson for me was to be curious. Kids are curious about everything. They just want to know everything. They want to know all about it. They want to understand. They want to grasp it. They want to use it. And therefore, they want to know all the information there is. And what do? They ask. Sometimes it seemed to us as if the question that a kid just asked was a funny question, or a little dumb, or whatever. But in their world, out of their perspective, the questions are just super awesome and big. They do not understand, so they have to ask. There's that story about that little kid, about a little boy, and he's about to become a bigger brother. He's 3 years old, and his mom told him he has a little brother, and the brother is growing inside of her, and soon he will have a little brother. Now, one day they're sitting at the dinner table, and the boy, 3 years old, he will not eat, and he's just and he's looking around, and he's looking at his dad, and he's looking at his auntie is there, and he's looking at his mom, and he's just not eating. He's just looking around, and he's curious. He's thinking and thinking and thinking, and at some point the mom is saying, "Hey, little buddy, what's going on? Like, what are you thinking about?" And here he looks at her and says, "Mommy, I need to know something. When you eat something, is it falling on my little brother's head?" And that seems like the most funny question on the planet. It was awesome to hear that. But to him, it makes sense. They just told him the little brother is in the belly somewhere. And so he asked, "Is the food falling on his head?" It is an awesome question, and it shows how curious kids are. He wanted to understand, and they explained it to him, and he did understand. It was awesome. So, we as grown ups should get that curiosity. We should get that desire for information, and we just should grasp that, and we should look at kids, see, wow, they're really curious. Let's be curious also. There was another story about a family going to a campsite with other families, and all the grown-ups are just having dinner or having a few drinks in a tent or whatever, and some of the guys are preparing their fishing rods and whatnot, and the children are playing outside. Now, there was one girl, and she was awesome. She was a cute girl. She refused to take off her biking helmet, so all day long she would walk around with this biking helmet and just do all kinds of funny stuff. The next thing she would do, she would grab paint, earth, everything she could get in her hands, she would put in her face, and she would say that she's painting herself for war. She's like a little war lady, a war kid. Awesome. Anyway, this little kid comes into the tent with all the grown-ups, looks at everybody and says, "Who are you people?" And people just start turning around, look at the little girl, and start laughing, and everybody makes joke how funny she is and how cute she is. But she asked a serious question, so a friend of mine leans forward to her and says, "Hey, my name is Kelvin." And she looks at him and says, "Hi, Kelvin." And then the next lady next to him says, "And I am Sandy." And little girl says, "Hi, Sandy." And then the next lady says, "Hi, I'm Maya." And the little girl looks at her and says, "Maya?" Trying to pronounce the name, and she says, "Yes, Maya." "Hi, Maya." Apparently, over the whole weekend, over the whole camping trip, the little girl would not forget one name of all the people in that tent, all the grown-ups, and she would remember every name. And when she was driving by with her bicycle, she would say, "Hi, Kelvin. Hi, Maya. Hi, Sandy," whatever. She would just greet everybody by their name, and she would not forget a name. Now, the funny thing is, in the internet you can find courses for managers which cost up to $1,000 that only teach them how to make a first impression. And one part of the making a first impression, a good first impression, is to remember people's names. There are memory courses to improve your memory skills that teach you just that. But kids have it naturally. Kids can do that naturally, so we don't need to pay for $1,000 course. I still recommend it because it's a good course, but you can just look at kids and learn from kids. That's amazing. The second skill that kids have is to be positive. You know, kids are positive. There's always an adventure, there's always something going on, there's always something. Kids are, generally speaking, positive, unless they don't get what they want. But that's something else. Like the basic attitude they have is positive towards pretty much everything. Funny thing about that is, grown-ups whine so much. My life doesn't make any sense anymore, and it's all just so bad, and my partner left me, and this and this and this. It's all just so bad. We take a pencil and paint everything gray or dark black, whatever. That's what grown-ups do sometimes, some people. Now, kids don't have that. Even kids in orphanages don't have that. They wake up and say, what's for breakfast? What can we do today? And they join together in a group and they do stuff, whatever they do. They don't wake up whining in an orphanage. Now, why do I say that? And why is that scenery in the orphanage so important? I heard that story of Dr. Wayne Dyer, a great speaker, who was born and who was raised in orphanages and didn't get adopted. So he got used to the orphanages. And so he was kind of the guy in the orphanage. So when a new kid would come to the orphanage, then the caretakers would send that kid to Wayne Dyer, the young Dr. Wayne Dyer, or he wasn't a doctor then, so to the young Wayne. And he said, hey, what are you crying for? What are you sad for? This is a great place. There are no parents. As if he was saying, we're ruling this thing. This is awesome. So even in an orphanage, kids have the ability to stay positive. Now, there as well, thousands of courses, thousands of books, everything like that is out there to be positive. If we just take the time to study our kids a little more, or somebody else's kids, like, don't be creepy, but study kids and see how they can be fascinated, curious, and positive about things. The next thing that kids have is they can be dreamers. Have you ever watched a kid when a good story is being told, or when a good movie is on? Not some of the crap that's on now, but the good value movies, some of the older Disney movies, or just classical good movies, or just fairy tales with a good kind of message to kids. Have a look at kids. Kids get into a good story. Kids get into a good movie. Kids get there. Kids really, really value that. And when you take the time to study kids, then you can grasp that emotion too. Kids will get the emotion. If it's sad, they're sad. If it's frightening, they're frightened. If it's an angry mood, they're angry. And if there's a hero, they are a hero too. Kids get that, and kids keep that. Now, how can we use that? In every situation in life, there's a general mood going on. Get that mood, and then just decide, can I go with this vibe, with this general mood, or should I repel that and be something else, somebody else, whatever? Get the emotion and get into it. Dream again, not only about goals and whatever, just dream about emotions and about you, and picture yourself as the hero of the story, as kids do it. The next thing is to be that hero, to do the right thing. There's kids that do so much and that just walk around and they don't even think about it. They just do the right thing. Like, a woman loses his purse and the kid sees this, runs to the purse and says, excuse me, you lost your purse. We've all seen scenes like that. There's also a funny situation that just happened recently. A friend of mine is working in a kindergarten, and because of a lack of space in that kindergarten, there's one group which is only boys. Here comes a new girl into the kindergarten, and because of that space issue, she has to go in the group with only boys. Now, soon other kids from other groups start mocking her and mobbing her and just saying, oh, she's in the boy group, she's a boy, and she's crying and she's totally uncomfortable and she's not very happy. But the boys in her group realize that and say, they said it out loud. We have to protect our lady. And they would keep people off her and just tell them to not talk anymore about it and leave her alone and just protect her. They would be so nice. And very, very soon the girl felt very, very comfortable around all those little heroes that just did the right thing. So that's what we can learn from kids. Do the right thing. If you see something is not right and something is going on, somebody is being hurt, do the right thing. Be the hero. Protect people. Protect yourself and just do the right thing. Kids do that more often than we think. The last thing that we can learn from kids is to be resilient. What I mean by that is that kids get back up when they fall down. Sometimes it takes a while, and sometimes they cry, and sometimes they whine, but if we let them get up by themselves, they will get back up. That's a true thing to say about kids. There was a young kid, and I just saw that last summer. There was a young kid, and it was a family, and everybody was playing around, and apparently he tripped and fell and hurt his arm. And he was whining and mourning, and he went to mommy, and he was crying, and his arm hurt so much. And 2 minutes later, the dad comes out of the house and says, "Who wants ice cream?" And the kid jumps up. All the pain in his arm is forgotten. And he just jumps up, runs to his dad, and he gets his ice cream as well. Of course he gets his ice cream. Now, in that moment, everything is forgotten. The kids are so resilient. They just get back up. Here's this little girl falling down the streets, and she's hitting her head, and she's scratching her cheek. She lands on the bottom, and she starts crying, and people get to help her. And people fix her up, and it's all good. Next morning, she wakes up, and she has a big, big bruise on her head and a big, big scratch on the cheek. But she gets up and says, "Hey, Daddy, can I get the first aid kit again? Can I try to fix myself up? Can I put a plaster here? Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I put a bandage around my whole leg? Can I do this?" She's curious, and she gets back up, and she wants to live. What do grown-up people do? I got a little cough. I think I'm sick. I think I'm going to die. I think I'm going to be sick the next week. This is an exaggeration, but there's so many people who have just a small, small pain, but make it a huge, huge drama. Why? Be more resilient. Learn from kids and just get back up. You're just falling down. You're not dying. You just have a cough. You're not dying. There are some things that have to be treated serious. I get that. But not every little minor, oh my God, it's not that. So be resilient as kids are. Those are the 5 steps that I have learned from kids. And I am embracing most of them almost 100% of this time. Being curious, being positive, be a dreamer, be a hero and do the right thing, and be resilient and get back up. If you just take the time and study kids a little more, study what they are doing, study the abilities that they have that we once had but we lost for some reason, think about that, get back to those abilities, and you will see that it's just such a better life, such more love and just curiosity and just energy around, because you will have fascination for so many more things. Those are the things I learned from kids and lessons that I learned through kids, and I hope you can use them. So let's change, let's be like kids again, let's get some growing going.